Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Todd Cheek coming at you with another episode of Living Your Best Life. And of course, thank you so much for giving us some of your time this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whenever, wherever you are in the world right now. But anyway, you know what we do on our show. If you don't, I'm going to tell you right quick. We invite professionals on to talk about what they do and how what they do contributes to a better society, a wealthier society, a healthier society, of course. Just, like I said, just a better society in general. Today we have an awesome gentleman on the show, and this show today is kind of different. Why? Because I'm going to be speaking mainly to the men out there. This is a topic for men, and the topic today is coming from a gentleman out of the Texas area, Mr. Jamael Harris. Now, his title caught my interest. He's a masculine leadership coach. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I wanted to definitely connect with him and find out more what that was about. And so really, he's teaching men how to be men in their families, how to be men on the job, how to be men just in life in general. And so how are you showing up? And bottom line, he's going to be dropping some jewels today. I know you're going to be entertained and you're going to get some knowledge and that good stuff. All right. So listen, Jamael Harris, masculine leadership coach. That's our guest today for the men. All righty. So, but before we go there, everyone, listen, 50 foods, stop eating them, especially if you're over the age of 50. And if you can't stop eating them, at least drastically reduce these foods because they're doing you no good when it comes to your health and your wellness. So anyway, check out the list, 50 foods we should stop eating after the age of 50 in the commercial, wellbeyond50.com. Y'all be good. See you on the other side. Be good. Peace. So welcome back, everybody, to the show, to Living Your Best Life. And so listen, like I said, in that past little commercial there, if you are well beyond 50, listen, there are 50 foods that we should just stop eating, okay? Or just definitely reduce, all right? So grab that list, okay, in the link below. Grab that list of 50 foods we should stop eating. That's wellbeyond50.com. So listen, everyone, like I was saying in the intro part of this show, I met this brother a couple weeks ago, a few weeks ago, whichever one, and I was just mesmerized by him. You know, that awesome, beautiful smile that he just gave us right there. And also just his knowledge about what it means to be successful, but also what his knowledge is about what it means to be a man. And this is something that I will say is in society right now. We have to come to grips with, what that is. And we have to recognize what that is. I want to have my good friend, Jamael Harris, come onto the show. Okay. And he's a masculine leadership coach. And I think that is so cool. MLC, Master Leadership, that's the name of his company, it's the name of his mission, and teaching young men how to be men in their lives because it's important. And so I don't want to spoil it and talk too much because I'm gonna mess this whole introduction up. The further I talk, the more I talk about it, I'm just gonna mess it up. So I want the professionals, the better minds, to come in and talk about what they do and why they do and what they do is and how what they do is contributing to a better society. Jamael, thank you so much, man, for coming out and hanging out with me and sharing a little bit about what you do and how what you do is contributing to a better society. Tell us, man, who you are, man, and why you're on this mission.
Man, thank you, first of all, Todd, for having me on the show. I don't take it lightly to be on your show talking about this topic. As you said earlier, it's so needed right now because I feel like we've lost what it is to be a man. Like you mentioned, toxic masculinity. That's not it, right? It's a lack of masculinity. That's not it. And so what I did was I created a company to define masculinity and actually what that looks like in our society. And the way it happened was not not what I wanted to happen, if that makes sense. I grew up in a small town. I live in Texas. I grew up in a small town, Terrell, Texas. Um, Growing up, it was about 15,000 people, and we didn't have a lot of money growing up, but I wanted some. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? It's like you got what they say, champagne wishes and caviar dreams. You had those
Yeah.
growing up, but a lot of times we didn't have the Jordans, we didn't have all that stuff growing up. So I wanted to get money, and so that was my mission growing up. Is I'm getting out of here. Everybody's broke. Uh, that's just what I had in my mind. And back when I came up, I'm 46. It was getting some type of scholarship, whether it was football, basketball, and so I took a liking to football, and that was my thing. And so I ended up getting a football scholarship, and that's how I got my education. So I went to college, got my degree, and there I saw two different worlds. Right, where I came from, it was a lot of single parent homes. Where a lot of these kids that I went to, the school I went to, they were from families. You know what I mean? Their
Hmm.
families would come to the games on the weekend or come to college on the weekend, and like I never seen this world. And so at that point, that was my first realization that hold on, it's different ways that people are living like this, living out here. Because when you grow up, you just think everybody's living like you. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because you're just in
Hmm.
your one
Yeah.
little neighborhood. So fast forward, I graduated college. I married my college sweetheart, not knowing anything. I was raised by my grandmother. My dad and my mom were never together, so my dad wasn't around. My mom, she had to work in Dallas because there wasn't a lot of good paying jobs in the small town we were in. So me and my sister, we were raised by my grandmother. Now my dad had 20 kids, but that's a whole nother story. I don't know him, barely know him, but that's another story for another day. But that's kind of what led me to where I was. And so I got married. I was married for 17 years, and we had the excuse me, we had the ideal life that some would say, especially as an African American. We lived in a gated community in a nice suburban town right outside of Dallas. We had a swimming pool. Black people, a lot of times we can't even swim. You know what I'm saying? So we had a pool in gated community. We took a lot of trips. My kids had passports. And so I thought I was doing what I was supposed to do uh, because that's not what I saw growing up, right? And so I just focused on making money, making money, making money. So my focus was very external as far as my home is concerned, and I was really neglecting the internal portion of my home. And what I mean by that is I just focused on making money, Todd.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Because that's what we say. That's the man's job, is to go
Yeah.
provide. And I didn't even do that perfectly a lot of times. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
If I'm being
Hmm. Hmm.
transparent, but
Hmm.
excuse me, it was a focus of making money. So got out of college, got my degree in business, ended up working for a Fortune 500 company. I figured out I did not like corporate America. And a friend of mine, he had a financial services company. He was like, you can do this. And so I became an advisor. I did that for 20 years. So I've been in the people business, Todd, for almost 25 years. And so
Mm.
I'm not talking to you about something I heard about. I've seen this over the course of almost 25 years of dealing with my clients, talking about masculinity or the lack of it. And so I was married. Fast forward inside the house, outside it looks good, but inside the house, my wife and I are always fighting. We have a mediocre sex life at best, every now and then, which today that's a lot of folks. That's why porn is so pervasive in our society. Is people aren't
Mhm.
getting together, they just going online. And instead of us communicating, saying, hey baby, I like this and you like this, let's come together, we're not even masculine enough to have those conversations, right? That may be another story for another day. But we had a mediocre sex life at best. My kids stayed in their rooms. I was always second guessing who I was. Did I make the right decisions? Because
Mhm.
a lot of time as guys, um, we don't feel like we have an outlet, or at least I didn't, and you maybe can can
Yeah.
can add to this, but we carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, and we don't feel like we can share that weight.
Yeah.
We feel like it's all ours. You know what I mean? And so that's
Yeah.
the way I was rocking. Is all I focused on was getting money. We want to go on a trip. I'll get the money for it. How much is it? 8,000. Okay, cool. The kids are playing select basketball. Well, how much is it? It's gonna be 500 a month. Okay, cool. That's all I focused on was that part. And what I neglected, Todd, was the presence inside the home as far as just being present with her. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Meaning, I was just on coaching a guy here a little bit ago. Like a woman, she'll go. Let's say you're taking her on a date, and she has two dresses. She said, "Which
Hmm.
one do you like, the red one or the black one?" Well, what does the average guy say?
Yes.
I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the average guy is gonna say. Versus he should say, baby, I think you would look really good in a black one, but obviously choose whichever one you like. But you're giving her your presence and your decision making. But when you say, hey, I don't care, you're not giving her your presence. So guess what she
Hmm.
does over time? She stops doing stuff like that.
Hmm.
She stops coming to you for decisions. And that's what happened to me. My wife, she stopped asking me for stuff because she knew I was going to say, I don't care. Just tell me how much it costs. So what team are the
Right.
kids going to be on? I don't
Mm.
know. Where are we going to dinner? I don't know. What you want for dinner? I don't know. Versus I just could have said, we want some meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and green beans. That would have been cool. That's one less decision she has to make. And so the mistake we make as men, especially if you have a stay-at-home wife, and there's all different kind of partnerships out there where both of them work outside the home, or you may both work at home, right? That's a
Hmm.
whole nother
Yeah. Yeah.
dynamic.
Yeah.
But there's all different dynamics of relationships, but we're talking about a masculine and a feminine relationship. And so in that dynamic, I just focused as a masculine on getting the money. Everything in the house was her job, and that was a mistake. And so my wife was telling me all this stuff all these years, Todd, like, you don't listen to me, you don't help me around the house, you don't help me feel safe. And I'm like, what you mean? Like, we live in a gated community, we got an alarm on the house. Like how I grew up, we didn't feel safe, but you should feel safe. You know what I mean? But what she was talking about was her emotions. She didn't feel safe with her emotions, meaning she couldn't talk to me. She come to me with a challenge, I get defensive. Oh man, there you go. You always tripping. Or she's
Hmm.
just trying to have a regular conversation like, hey baby, what's the plan for Thanksgiving? Or what's the plan for oh man, you already talking about Thanksgiving. Always, am I right or wrong?
No, you're right. You're right. No,
That's
I
just
get it.
how we are. And,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
the toxic masculinity that they're talking about. So I was thinking I was a man, but I didn't give her my presence. I didn't give her my decision making. I wasn't present with her, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
so
No, makes sense.
fast forward, we married 17 years. I didn't hear anything she said, Todd, until I was in that house by myself.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So get to that right there when you say in the
That was
house by
that was the
yourself.
first time I heard her.
Hmm. The
She
silence.
moved. She moved out the house. She got a U-Haul. It was crazy. I ain't got time to tell the story, but she got a U-Haul. My older son is supposed to drive it. Like they had a whole plan to leave. I don't know what they thought I was gonna do. It was very hurtful, but this is
Yeah.
why I created a company because we feel these feelings, but we don't know what to do with them.
Hmm.
And a lot of guys get depressed. They get on alcohol. Some of them commit suicide.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of times it goes the wrong way. So I'm in my house like Martin on Gina. It's one box, and it's me in this 4,000 square foot house by myself. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I done messed something up.
Yeah.
That's when we realized something's wrong. So
Yeah.
fast forward, I started researching what happened here. Because in
Hmm.
my mind, I gave her the ideal life. We lived in a gated community. We took the trips. We could go shopping. We provided. She stayed home. There were some other challenges in there. One of our sons was really sick, but overall, I felt like I was doing my job as a man, but I felt like my wife was always tripping. I don't know if
Hmm.
y'all
Hmm.
ever felt like that, but that's how I was feeling like, dang, I'm always doing it, but you always tripping. And so as I started doing research, Todd, I found out I wasn't masculine. And
Okay.
I can say that because I've done the work. Old me
Yeah.
wouldn't have said that. You tell me that, I say, oh man, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. You ain't masculine either. We deflected, right?
Yeah.
But I had to go do some work on myself and realize, oh, you did drop the ball. Oh, you weren't vulnerable. I wasn't vulnerable with my emotions, so how could she be vulnerable with hers? I didn't even know how to
Hmm.
deal with mine, so how can I help her deal with hers?
Hmm.
You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And so as I started going on this journey of reading books and listening to podcasts, and I actually took a coaching program, and what I learned was there was a lot that I had to do for myself. That was the first person I had to heal. And so too
Hmm.
often as men, we trying to fix everybody else, the wife, the kids, the church, the business, but your tail ain't fixed.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And that was me. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so I looked the part, but I wasn't the part, and it's evidenced by my wife left me. We barely had sex. My kids didn't listen to me. All that was just the culmination of me not being masculine. Well, if you fast forward to now, I've done the work. I still do the work. Well, now I met a feminine partner that respects me. We started a company. I started this company. I can be very transparent about my past, what I did do, what I didn't do. And that's what masculinity is being able to be honest with yourself and with your partner and with your peers. But too
Right.
often as men, we not honest with ourselves, with our partner or our peers, and you can't be your confident, authentic self when you're dealing with that. And so that's a little bit of how I got on this journey. Like I said, it wasn't what I thought I was going to be doing, but I am very, very passionate about teaching other men what it looks like to step in to a more masculine frame so that, they can be proud of who they are. They can have the intimacy, sex life that they desire, whatever that is.
Yeah.
They can have good relationships with their kids. They can be proud of themselves out in the communities, right? Because we need this as men. There's too many sad men, depressed, droopy men. A lot of women saying, I got another kid. You know what I'm saying? I got to help
Hmm.
pump him up just like kids. And so I'm here to help us do better.
Gotcha. Wow. Brother, like I said, I knew you could bring it. And from our first conversation, and once again, like I said, I thank you for your transparency, Jamel. That is refreshing. One
Thank
of the
you.
things that you hit on, and it always it reminds me of where I was a few years back. Better now, but there's still work to do. Uh,
Absolutely.
and that is my level of vulnerability. That was something that I struggled with. Man, I wanted to always put on that Superman cape and,
Yep.
and cover up more so than wear the cape.
Yeah.
The cape was so I can cover and
Yeah.
and look like I'm, Superman versus, being, the Superman, but, like I said, thank you for that. Now, uh, have we been taught as men? Is there a message? Were we given the wrong message? Uh, that's one question. Question number two. Question number one was, who were your role models coming up? If your dad was not in the picture, it's because I think that can be, or mentor, that can be a problem within, in communities, in homes, if the dad isn't there, or if the dad isn't present, even though he's there.
Absolutely.
Who was your role model or mentor?
That's a great question. And I think they're going to be wrapped into one.
Yeah,
I didn't feel like I had any,
yeah.
right? I think like a lot of us as young African American males, our role models are on TV.
Hmm.
It's Jerry Rice. It was Emmett Smith. It was Michael Irvin. Those are the people I was looking at growing up because I was raised by my grandmother.
Hmm.
My mom was working. She was never with my dad, so my grandmother raised me. Well, the reason that was my grandmother was married to my grandfather, but my grandfather he was never really around. He was always doing whatever. He was doing his own thing back in the day, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I didn't have any male role models, which in my opinion, that is the challenge that we're facing today.
Yeah,
Because historically, and I'm gonna go a little history on y'all. The
that's
Equal
fine.
Credit Opportunity Act was passed in 1974.
Hmm.
The significance of that was prior to 1974, women could not get a mortgage. They couldn't go get a car loan. They couldn't
Hmm.
get checking account. I mean, there were little pockets of banks, but overall, they couldn't do these things. So back in
Hmm.
the 50s and 60s, they just had to take whatever. The man was just acting a fool. Like back in
Yeah,
that, when I grew up in a small town, you got a whole nother family. My grandpa had a whole nother family. I
yeah,
ain't throwing him under the bus. This is just what was true.
Yeah.
But they had to accept it because where could they go? They couldn't go get a mortgage. They couldn't go purchase a home because they didn't allow women to purchase things and stuff like that back then. You follow what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they passed the ECOA in 1974, and that allowed women to get mortgages, cars, things like that. So in the 80s, excuse me, it's allergy season in Texas.
I
So
hear
in
you.
the 80s, you saw a divorce,
Mm-hmm.
mass
Mm-hmm.
rate of divorce. Why? Because these women started saying, wait a minute, I don't got to take this crap. You go run around. All right, go ahead. I'm just gonna move out and go get my own place because I can get a mortgage now. I can buy a car. So what happened was in the 80s, a lot of us were raised by single mothers.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
tracking?
Mm-hmm.
Most of my friends were single. All of our mamas were single,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there is no male role model to show you masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I had, he had a whole nother family.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
dad had 20 kids by all these different women. So that was my role model. So guess
Mm-hmm.
what I was doing early on in my marriage? I was a player because that's what you're supposed to be. They was married, but they was players. That's what you're
Yeah.
supposed to be. That was my belief system, but it was a flawed belief system.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, what that does when you cheat on a woman, she trusts you less. She's less open to you because the trust is gone. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So we
Right.
do these things. We like, why are you closed up? Well, we did that,
Right.
but we have trouble taking responsibility for it. So I didn't have very many male role models growing up, and it was more so football coaches. But I only had access to them on the football field. So they didn't
Right.
really teach me life or anything like that, which is what I think is how I got into trouble. Because
Mm-hmm.
what happens is the women that got divorced, and this is just my opinion, and this is just from the research that I've done, but the women that got divorced, they were raising you not to be like your dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they were raising you more so in a feminine filter,
Right.
if that's making sense.
No, it makes total
You be
sense.
nice, you do this, you do that. Well, you grow up and you don't know how to be a real man. You can't make decisions because you have a man around you to show you that. It's that
Yeah.
tough love that we miss. The masculine grows by challenge, the feminine grows by praise.
Right.
So if we're not getting challenged, we're not going to grow as a
Yeah.
male.
Yeah.
So if you got all women around you, you're not going to live up to your best capabilities simply because think about it, you don't like when another man tell you something. You think about the military, they say you're a worthless dog because that makes you do 100 push-ups.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
suck. You
Yeah.
because the master want to show you something. You tell that to the feminine, she gonna shut down and start crying.
Right.
So she grows by praise. We grow by challenge, and so it's just certain principles that we don't understand, and we're in relationships. And you're a man, you're trying to challenge her to get better. You need to work out more. That don't work. She grows by praise. Oh, baby, you look good in those yoga pants, though. Now she's trying to get better and better in the yoga pants as you keep praising her.
Yeah.
But she will not grow with you trying to challenge her like a man. And that's what most men are doing with their women. I did it. You're trying to
That's
challenge her to
that's
change and grow, but that's not the way she
that's
grows.
that's a new one. That's a new one. And that's one I haven't heard before. And all. And because and you're right. We have I think my wife and I were talking about this the other day, with regards to, being a male and how to communicate with females, the daughters in the house here, and being a female. So there's the differences in how we do communicate and how we present life to that generation, the younger generation that are female and or male. And but you're right, praise and challenge, and it's two different things. I look at the uphill battle. And again, no, I just did a video on that the other day,
Yeah,
talking about taking the hill. You
yeah,
know, that's that war mentality, that's that conquer mentality, and
right.
that's how we are pretty much, I guess, designed. And
Mm-hmm.
and so now, question that I do have for you, because you know where you were raised. Of course, you have your experience and you're coaching people. Is there a difference between how Black men are taught masculinity versus how white men are taught masculinity?
That's a good question. I don't really know the answer to that one.
Yeah.
The thing that I've seen is the family structure determines a lot.
Hmm.
A lot of single parent homes, the drug use is statistically higher. Single parent homes, the underage pregnancies are higher. The babies out of wedlock is higher. It's just the statistics are alarmingly higher when there's not a two parent home.
Hmm.
Does that
Hmm.
make sense? Whether it's
No.
black or white, right?
Right.
It's just like
Right.
I have five boys. For the most part, they were around a family unit. Because what happens is if mom they don't listen to mom come get dad.
Hmm. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But if you
Yeah.
take that dad out of there, sometimes they just run over mom, or vice versa. If the dad's not strong, they'll run over him too. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so I don't know if it's race specific, but I feel like the more of a family structure that person has around them, the better chance they have to learn what the masculinity is and the femininity. But at the same time, if you grew up in seeing a bad relationship, that could be skewed as well. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is we all have work to do.
We all have work to do. Now, so I'm assuming that you're working with young men, but so what's the age range that you are mainly working with?
I work with anybody over 18 pretty much. This is what I mean. But they need to have the plane off the ground,
Okay.
meaning they're already into self-improvement, like they understand there's work
Mm.
to do. You understand you have to work on yourself.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This ain't me trying to take somebody to the gym who's never seen a gym. I want
Yeah.
somebody who's worked out before. They just need some encouragement to get, to stay
Hmm.
focused, right?
Hmm.
Because there's a certain faction of people, it don't matter what you tell them, they're not gonna listen.
Yeah.
So I'm looking more so for people that are into self-improvement, they want to get better, because we want to act like we don't have anything wrong. Well, I ain't talking to you.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with me. Meanwhile, you're not having sex, you watching porn, your wife arguing with you all the time, nobody respects you, but you don't got nothing wrong. Okay, that's how I was. Just keep it going. You'll be on the box by yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. You'd be in that
I
house
feel
all
that
like,
nothing wrong either. Ain't nothing wrong. We got a perfect life. Okay.
yeah.
But we
Yeah.
don't really listen, Todd, until we get hit upside the head. Just to
Yeah.
be honest, you
You
know.
know, I have a buddy of mine who is going through a breakup situation, man, right now. And he's had to move out, and I've heard his story, and of course there's always, one can be one sided a lot of times. I understand
Yeah.
there's always two sides to every story. And so I'm watching and I'm listening to it, and so many cats, will find themselves in those positions. I found myself in that position also years ago in my first marriage, or after my first marriage, when I was in that house all by myself. I'm looking at,
Lonely man.
things that were left behind. It's like, and it's like, wow, this really happened.
Yeah.
And
You're in
yeah,
shock.
yeah, I'm in shock, but I was also in denial. There was a
Yeah.
part of me that was in denial. I didn't want to accept it,
Mm-hmm.
and like I think I told you, man, when I got divorced, um I didn't tell anybody I was divorced for a whole year. My best friends, my parents, no one knew.
Yeah.
And
That's crazy.
because my pride,
Yeah.
would not, and like I said, that problem with vulnerability, oh, it was bad, man. I
Yeah.
just couldn't break that down to anyone. And so
Mm-hmm.
thanks for, cats like yourself, man, that are out here letting us know that there is that safe space. There is, we being a man or being masculine doesn't mean, hiding your feelings and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll speak to that. We did a podcast about that yesterday. Actually, is the hard guy versus the masculine guy. Because some people hear what I'm saying and say, no, you're weak. No, that's not the case. You're not hearing us all the way. The strong guy, you just said it, can be vulnerable.
I don't know
This is
that doesn't resonate. Why does that not resonate?
well, this because society has told us we can't be.
Hmm.
It's societal programming. Societal programming says you can't be weak, but this is the problem now. The currency ain't money in a relationship. The women make money. What they need is your presence and your consciousness. It's like, can you be here and listen right now? I'll give you an example. Me and my girl, we actually had got into something. That's probably a bad example for time's sake. I'll give you this example. I went to the gym a couple weeks ago, and my back was hurting. I did some squats, and I don't know what happened. My back was hurt. But my girl, she's an anesthesiologist. So she's a pain doctor. This is what she went to school 14 years for.
Yeah.
So my back hurting. But as a guy, I don't want to say that shit. Am I right or wrong?
No, you're right.
It's hurting. You're like, oh. Now I live with a doctor. I'm going somewhere with this.
Yeah.
I live with one. So my back hurting all day. So we go shoot a podcast, and I'm like, oh, my wife's like, we need to wrap this up because my back over here hurting. I don't know what I did in the gym. So I'm like, we need to wrap this up. My back over here hurting. And so she was like, what's up? I was like, man, my back killing me. She was like, what's wrong? I was like, man, I don't know what I did at the gym, but it's hurting. She's like, babe, how long has it been hurting since I went to the gym? She was like, that was like 6 hours. I remember it was like 6 or 8 hours ago. She's like, why didn't you tell me, like, I got all this medicine, these different things that you don't have to be in pain right now.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm going with that. That's the kind of stuff we do, Todd.
Yeah.
We have challenges. My back is hurt. That's vanilla. Ain't nobody saying you less of a man because your damn back hurts. Man. Your damn back is just hurt, man. You know what I'm saying?
You touched on that, man, because I think that's the problem that we do face is like, that label of weakness, that label of being less of.
Yes. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So watch this. So my back is hurt, but I got to be tough. I can't tell her my back hurt. I can't tell her this. I'm just going to take some ibuprofen. Meanwhile, she got way better drugs than that because she's a doctor. And I'm talking about like legal drugs. I ain't saying like illegal. Like she's an anesthesiologist. She's a medical doctor for the people listening.
Yeah.
She could have been had me fixed up. But because of this hard shell I got on me, Todd, I got to be hard. Now watch this. So I told her my back was hurting. I don't know what all she gave me. But within like an hour, I'm like, oh,
wow.
Oh, I'm feeling good. Now here's the significance of that. I went on 6 hours with a problem that could have been solved 6 hours ago.
Yeah.
That definitely affected my work. Remember, I was trying to get out the podcast earlier.
Yeah.
It affected my work. This is my partner.
Yeah.
But I was not willing to be vulnerable and say, hey, my back is hurting. Because I'm thinking that's going to make me feel weak or something. That's what I'm talking about. Night, she was like, baby, here, lay down. I got some more stuff for you. So she's rubbing this cream on my back. She's massaging my back. Now, what's the significance of this story? I'm sure y'all are wondering, why is he telling this story? That's the energy that you want in your relationship. So what I was doing by not saying my back is hurting, I'm taking away an opportunity for her to love on me. That's what the feminine does. She wants to take care of her man. She don't want her man hurting. Any feminine. Am I right or wrong?
Right.
The feminine is to love on us. That's our partner. Her job to pat you up so you can go back into battle. But I'm taking that away from her with my hardness.
Wow.
So watch this. So now I admit that I have a problem, although a small one. Baby, my back is hurting. Can you do something? Now she rubbing my back. Now watch this. We all happy. I'm laying down. I'm getting a back rub by a beautiful woman. She's loving on her man. But watch this, Todd. I could have took that moment away from our relationship, and this is what we do all the time. You got a problem with your business. It ain't going right. Your woman can this is what we don't understand. Your woman can feel you. She know exactly when you good and when you bad. And she say, baby, how you doing? I'm fine. but you missed that opportunity that I just described. And so this is what happens. When you say you're fine, you're fine, you're fine, and she know you're not fine, this is what's happening with your relationship.
Yeah.
But if you allow those moments, because your back hurting doesn't define you. Your business being down for a week, a month, for 1 year doesn't define you. That's just something that's happening right now. But we took that on as that's who we are. We start feeling bad about ourselves. But if you can let her into your world, this is your partner. If you can't
Yeah.
let her in, who you gonna let in?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So what we do is we take these moments from our partner, and that's what happens is we go to our man cave. I'm just gonna go to the man cave. Well, eventually you're gonna be in that dang man cave by yourself
Mm-hmm.
because she's
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know who this is. I live with an unemotional guy. I don't know where he's at because you're lying to her. Essentially, you're lying.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, that's what it
Versus
comes down
if
to.
you let her love on you, now every time you coming together, you getting that feminine love, her rubbing on your back. That's what we all want. If we're honest, oh baby, dang, that feels good. Now we all happy, and it might lead to some good sex after that. But we take these moments away all the time. Why am I saying we do? Because we're the leader.
Yeah.
The masculine is the leader in the home. So I don't know if that made sense, but
No, man,
I
it
just went
made
off on a
perfect sense
tangent.
because, the bag thing, you can pretty much, put that into a world type of situation where, you know, nothing happens until it blows up in our face, So then that's when we're coming in, hey, honey, listen, we lost the house.
Yeah,
You know, or, the car is going to be repossessed or
yeah,
something until it blows up. And, but in reality, if, like you said, if you had stepped to her 6 hours prior to that, your back situation or back pain could have been, straightened out. But such as life and such as, occurrences in life, if we communicate, and I think that's a thing where we miss out on the art of communication.
that's
And
the key.
I think that's where we go off, wrongly, um, um, because we don't know how to, or we're afraid to.
Yeah,
Once again, it comes down to being judged. And the only judge, a lot of times, depending on that partner, that female partner that you're with, depending on who she is, for a lot, I think also, your woman. And if you think your woman is going to be judgmental, then you have some reconsiderations to do, I feel. Um,
absolutely.
because I think the one judge is going to be yourself first. You're going to judge yourself harder than anyone. And then what we're not looking for is to be judged by somebody else.
For sure.
And yeah, and so I think that the relationship dynamics, I feel, matters, right? Also, because you
It
seem to have
does.
a really, really awesome relationship right now.
I do. I do. And it's because of this work.
Yeah.
Any Anybody can have an awesome relationship. Number one, you have to understand it's a thing.
Hmm.
Masculine energy is a thing, feminine energy is a thing. And right now, this getting crossed. That's what you see in society right now. People don't know what they are. That's the polarity getting crossed. And anytime the polarity is crossed or even or balanced, you don't have an exciting relationship.
Yeah.
So so
Yeah.
you have to keep the polarities there, and it comes from doing things like I just described a few minutes ago about my back. You're
Yeah.
allowing her to be a woman instead of taking those moments away from her over and over and over.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
making you weak because this goes back to doing the work on yourself, Todd. Now that I do
Yeah.
this work on myself, I don't feel that it makes me weak. But
Yeah.
I still
Gotcha.
had some of that programming in me that still had me acting that way. I don't know if that
Right,
makes sense.
right. And I think that's where I get caught up too. There's some of that programming. Even though there's a lot of work that I've done, myself, there's still some of that old programming that's, in me, that trips back,
Yeah,
and
we
like I
all got it.
said, yeah. And so, man, Jamel, this conversation, bro, it's a major conversation. And like you said earlier, it's needed. And unfortunately, we don't have all day to sit here and chat about it. That's unfortunate, man, because there's so many
We have
things
to
that I
get back
want to,
together.
yeah, there's so many things that I want to, also bring, talk to you about because I think that the young African American male, I want to know and this can, be on another conversation. I want to know your perspective on where he's at right now
Yeah,
and the future of the young black male. And so that's something that I would love to tap into your brain about because I think that's a conversation that I want to know, and it's a conversation I love to share.
yeah. Well, I would love to come back and do it. And the short answer is it's going to be up to us
Yeah.
because we're the role models. You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So,
Hmm.
like I mentioned earlier, my kids are closer to me now because they see how I'm operating in the world.
Yeah.
Before they saw my ex-wife would say, I would say something and then she would change it. So they like, hell, mom don't listen to dad, so hell, we ain't either. You know what I'm saying?
That's
But
crazy, right?
now, but now they see, but it's because I wasn't masculine. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I just was letting things go. It wasn't on her. I'm the leader.
Hmm.
Whether it's right, people don't like to hear that. That's part of the conversation too. But
Yeah. Yeah.
we, our kids are watching us. So I noticed my boys asking me for advice. They never used to do that when I wasn't masculine because they didn't want
Hmm.
to be like me. You
Hmm. Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We don't
Yeah.
want to be like your tail. But now,
That's crazy.
but now they're asking questions like, "Hey, Dad," because they also see how I'm operating with my girlfriend too, my partner,
Yeah. Yeah.
my soon-to-be
Gotcha.
wife. But
Gotcha.
they see our relationship and they like, "Ooh, this is totally different than what we grew up seeing."
Yeah.
But it's because the who I am. Everything is based off of us. We're the leader.
Gotcha.
So when
Bro,
you get masculine, she can get feminine. But if you're feminine, she's gonna be masculine. The energy is gonna be there. You just might not like it.
yeah, exactly. It's going to show up how it shows up. And listen, man, where can we find you, bro? Out there.
You can find me at Linktree/Jamael Harris. That's linktr.ee/Jamael Harris. And you can find wherever you listen to podcasts, it's called the Rocks and the Oceans podcast. And so
Awesome.
the rock is us as the masculine. We got to stand strong. But the women are the ocean. That ocean going to do what it's going to do. But we still got to stand strong regardless of what's happening in the ocean. So it's the
Appreciate you,
Rocks
man.
and Oceans podcast. So I appreciate you having me on, and I'd love to come back and talk more about it for sure.
Oh man, we got to, man, because like I said, this is like I always say, man, this is therapy for me.
Absolutely. Man, we all got to do it, Todd. That's the whole
Yeah,
thing is we have to do the work on ourselves. And once you do the work on yourself, everything in your world changes because it's
yeah,
identity work. It's how do you
yeah,
see yourself? So once you
yeah.
see yourself differently, you operate differently. You're
Operate
operating how
different.
you see yourself.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's deep. That's deep. So, like I
Yeah,
said,
man.
man, thanks for coming on, man. I truly
Yes,
appreciate it.
sir.
I look forward to having you back so we can continue our conversation because this is not done. There's a lot to be learned from you, man. And thank you for doing your work out here in the world. We're looking for people like yourself. And
Well, thanks for having me on.
yeah, man. So everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Check them out, okay? Especially you young men out there and men even my age, okay? I'm learning something from this dude today and every time I talk to him. So he's passionate about what he's doing. So make sure you go out there and find him. All the links are below and in the description below and all that stuff. So like I said, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, especially the men. And catch us next time on Living Your Best Life. Listen, like I said earlier, I want you to download that 50 foods that we should stop eating. Okay, so go to 50 and download that list. Alrighty, so everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you next time on Living Your Best Life. Y'all be good. Peace.